Welcome Stage 3 to the introduction and overview and assessment video for History Australia as a Nation, Part 1, Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders. Basically, this term you will be examining human rights, past and present, affecting Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander people, migrants, women and children. We're going to want you to be able to explain how Australian society has changed throughout the 20th century for these groups that I've just mentioned up here above. In particular, we're going to get you to investigate the significance of one of the following in the struggle for the rights and freedoms of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So you're going to be able to choose between the stolen generations, the right to vote federally in 1962, the 1967 referendum and the Mabo decision. Now you shouldn't know what any of those are at this point, but you will shortly. So if you have gone to sleep, wake up now, because I'm talking about the learning intention for the next 4 weeks right now. For weeks 1 to 4, and this is accessible. It's going to be on your report, so pay attention. Weeks 1 to 4, the learning intention is this. Students understand the struggle for and progress in human rights throughout the 20th century for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Now, I want you to repeat that back because it's so important. Learning intention, go. Okay, I hope you repeated it back. I hope that you are done. Students understand the struggle for and the progress in human rights throughout the 20th century for Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander people. Here's the success criteria. This is going to be the key assessment that you're working on. Students research one of the following events, either the stolen generations, the right to vote federally in 1962, the 1967 referendum or the Mabo decision, and you will create individually your own Teach Me video explaining the significance of the event with relevance to human rights and freedom. So human rights are a part of this, guys, so you're going to be looking at the United Nations Human Rights Commission again. Here's an example of what your finished product might start to look like. Welcome to my Teach Me video on a very serious topic, the stolen generation. What happened? Well, the stolen generations is the name given to at least 100,000 Aboriginal children who were forcibly removed or taken under duress from their families by police or welfare officers between 1910. Now, what are the basic facts with regards to this? Well, firstly, okay, so there's a beginning start of what you might do. Let's have a look more closely at the assessment in particular. And here it is. Here's your research projects which will form your assessment. Here it is. Research project Australia as a Nation. You have selected to research one of the below. The stolen generations. The right to vote federally in 1962, the 1967 referendum, the Mabo decision. Now, all of these pertain specifically to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander rights in Australia. After you've completed your research, and you'll use this wonderful sheet here to help you research, break it down into what, into when, into who, into why, into other information, into human rights. Get all that research. You might want to go through this more explicitly with your teacher. After you have done that, you're going to create a 3 to 5 minute Teach Me video presenting your research and any applications to new situations you have identified. We'll talk about that when we look at the rubric to make that very clear. As highlighted, you may find this sheet useful in your research because it breaks down exactly the sorts of questions you should be asking about the particular event that you choose to study. And here's those events again, just in case you've been missing them. The Stolen Generations, the right to vote federally in 1962, the 1967 referendum, and the Mabo decision. Choose one. You're not choosing them all, you're choosing one. There's nothing to stop you from starting to think about this now. It's due week 4, but you can start to think about it now. On the history, on the Higgy blog page that we've created for you, we've started to collate some resources. So you want to go to term 4, and you can see there's some resources that we've put down there already for you. Here's Australia as a nation, and we're looking specifically at Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders. And with regard to your assessment, we've started to put down some information, particularly pertaining to the stolen generations here. There's a Racism No Way fact sheet, Australians Together, the Stolen Generations. There'll be more information coming. We do ask, particularly with regard to the stolen generations, that you just stick to this material. The stolen generations can be quite upsetting and disturbing, so we don't want you just Googling the stolen generations, because goodness knows what you'll find. So do just use this material here that we've provided for you. Here's the rubric that we're going to use to mark your Teach Me video on your chosen topic. You can see there's a section here for what happened, what are the basic facts, are there differences of opinion, if so, what are these? And to get an A, you're going to need to provide a high level of detail concerning what, including any differences of opinion, because history is often not facts, guys. History is often people arguing about what history is and means, and perhaps you're able to link to current events today. So are there any links to what you are researching to today's society? Is it still a live issue? And I know in many cases it is. So some of you might be able to work that out. If you want to get a B, you're just going to be providing a high level of detail concerning what, including differences of opinion. But you note you haven't necessarily linked it to current events today. Not current events back then, current events today in 2016. So example, what does the stolen generation, if you're looking at an A, what would the stolen generation have to do with today? How can you link it to today? B, you wouldn't make any links to today. C, you would just be providing a reasonable level of detail with regards to what. And D, you might just give some limited or even incorrect information. Now that's largely the same for when. You want to investigate and explain when it happened. Was it connected to other events? Was it just one event or part of a series of events? And again, guys, if you're looking for an A, you're providing a high level of detail concerning when, including any connections to other events, and are there links to current events today? Again, coming back to, for this A grade, time and time again, can you link it to current events today? You'll notice B still has a high level of detail and connections to events and other events, but it doesn't necessarily link it to today. C just talks about providing a reasonable level of detail, and D, well, you only give limited or even incorrect information. I'm not going to go through that rubric anymore. I think I'm just going to be putting everybody to sleep. I think it's worth coming back to this page and finishing. Guys, your learning intention again. If you've been asleep, wake up. Students understand the struggle for and progress in human rights throughout the 20th century for Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander people. Your success criteria will be students research one of the following events: the stolen generations, the right to vote federally in 1962, the 1967 referendum, or the Mabo decision, and you will individually create your own Teach Me video that explains the significance of the event with relevance to human rights and freedoms. And we've had a look at some of the sheets that are going to help you do that, the research sheet. We've had a look at the matrix and how myself will mark this work and what I am looking for. I've even made a little demo video for you. You can replay this and watch that again. I hope that this has been useful. Thanks for watching. I hope that you get a lot from the first part of this unit.